Used to be the one they all love to hate on, but now I work hard and I never take a day off. Y'all consider me as nothing but a target till I'm locked and loaded ready. If these motherfuckers want it, they said hip-hop's dead. I disagree with that statement, so don't repeat that shit again. And think of me when you say it, cause I'm the reason that it's breathing. Put it back on the stretch of the real.
I don't have my correct mouse either. I have a race car mouse right now. No.
Like a race car bed?
Kinda, but it's in mouse form. Right, so it's like,
okay,
I don't have my normal mouse, so like I'm pushing buttons that like aren't there because I'm used to having regular buttons.
Yes, you're used to having more buttons.
And not only that, like it's really weird.
Just play some CS:GO with that. Go fast.
Oh god, yeah, I gotta go fast, right? But what's going on, everybody? I am the one, the only WOOKIE, joined here by the version 2 of all the misfits. We got Cole.
Hello, everybody.
Dexter is still here.
Hello there.
Did you tell your mother hi for me?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. What'd she say? She remember me?
She's like, who is that? She's never met you.
I know. We've never met.
She knows you're on the podcast.
Or we've never met. We've never spoken. She just knows I looked after you for like 4 days.
I mean, she went on a road trip this weekend and she listened to some of our episodes.
Oh,
so maybe she knows who you are now.
Oh, no.
Did she provide any feedback?
No, she's just like, I only hear you in 2 of them. And I'm like, well, I'm there. I don't know.
Oh, no. That's all she had to say?
Yeah, that's all she said.
Well, thank God she's not in
all
the
she cares about is me talking. She doesn't care about anyone else.
And
to be fair,
and good on her, as she should.
Yeah.
Right.
The episode I was missing, I was going to listen to with my partner in the car, and she's like, "Wait, you're not talking on this?" And I was like, "Well, no, this is the one I missed." She's like, "I don't want to listen to it then."
Yeah,
man.
So I get it.
Good on you too, because if Wookiee's there, you shouldn't be listening to these episodes. But speaking of, we have 2 members that are going to be taking a tiny bit of a sabbatical. Mr. Zach and Mr. Z will be joining us again in the distant future, I'm sure. I don't know what's going on with Zach, but I know Z is moving. So that's probably has a big play into it.
Zach is as well.
Yeah, Zach is moving also. What the heck is this? Let's both buy new houses at the same time.
You know, I always used to give them shit that call them bosom buddies, right? Because they were both kind of losers. Like whatever one does, the other does too. Like it's really bizarre and strange. I didn't realize they were both also now moving.
They're buying houses together too.
Are they buying are they like next door to each other too?
I think so.
Oh, of course they are. How cute. Oh boy. So they are going to be missing for a little bit.
Yeah, I did get confirmation that they will be there for the 17th. If that confirmation holds.
What's the 17th?
The 17th is when we're going to do the full-on, just balls to the walls spoiler cast for
And we got spoilers, guys. I'm lying. They don't care enough about us. We got no spoilers. Didn't you say they were giving away like 70 spoilers or 72 spoilers or something like that?
It's a good bit, but we didn't get in.
68 and
so they gave away 68, so we are not in the top 68 on their list.
I think my email got lost in the tubes of the internet.
Got put into the recycle bin is where it went, more than likely. Yeah. So out of all of the altered content creators out there, we are not in the top 68. So make sure you like and subscribe. You know, all the things, because we're not in the top 68.
Let's get us in the top 68 first. Spoiler season.
I don't think there are. I'm going to go out on a limb there, and I'm going to say I don't think there are. What's that? Oh boy, I lost Cole. But anyways, I don't think there are 68 other podcast or content creators out there. Who can you name? We've lost everybody. Have I lost everybody? Cole, you there? Dexter, you there?
Now the issue is my internet breaking or is it Wookiee?
Nope, it's your internet, sir.
You went robot all of a sudden.
Yeah,
It's Wookie.
you're going robot on us. I got all bars.
Yeah,
No, I think that was you,
can
Wookie.
hear Dexter
Cole's
just
still here
fine.
for me.
Well, I'm looking at my connection.
Wookie, what's happening?
I don't know. I'm looking at my connection and I got full bars, so I don't know.
I hear you now. You're good
Yeah.
now.
Weird.
Yep.
We're gonna,
Yep.
but like I
You're
was
good.
saying, I don't think there's 67 other altered content creators out there.
No, a lot of the other people seem
No,
just
it's-
like community members that are like involved that like don't really produce content, but they're at least like doing stuff in the community.
Mm.
Yeah, there are some names that we play with and work with. Keelan guy is gonna have one coming up.
Mhm.
Elio of DFW fame has one. His videos have been doing really good lately, and it's all been altered. Spook the Boop that does some casting and stuff. A guy trying I met at PAX, and he has a little spreadsheet for a lot of these spoilers. It's a pretty big list, and on the website they do have a list of everyone doing the reveals, things like that. I asked what happened with my
All right.
email, but I'm sure it could have a couple different ways.
Or
They
cutting
didn't
out a bit
favor it
hole.
because you
See, it's not my internet.
be Discord now.
It might be Discord. My voice connection shows full good stuff. I am at
I feel
40.
like it's Discord.
Come on, Discord.
Notorious.
Blame it on the juice. None of you guys are drinkers, though. But with that being said, we're not cool enough to get spoilers.
Loose.
It's all right. Archons Corner wasn't cool enough to get spoilers for a long time, and we do just fine. In fact, we do better than most, so we'll go from there. Hopefully, we can keep the internet rolling. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Chat, are we chopping in and out? Are we
Yeah,
chopping? Let
good
us
now.
know.
Hopefully. I'm showing no incidents reported on Discord.
Me
but
neither. I'm not showing no incidents, no drop
I hear
packets,
full
no.
systems a go back to thing.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. So hopefully we can get through this episode. But yes, we will not be doing no Zach, no Z for the foreseeable future. We're going to do a full rundown on the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll kind of be going through that. All right. Who's got the Siggy unique? Oh, Ogre. And Ogre's not here.
We can talk about this.
Go ahead.
I can yap about this
Yeah,
unique
Ogre
because
got
I actually
lost.
ran into this unique.
Oh. Well, have at it, Sir Dextor.
So this is a Foundry mechanic. It is a 2 from hand and 2 from reserve. It's got 1 grass, no earth, and 2 water. Then we look at its ability here. It's got when another non-token character joins your expeditions. Why are we moving it around? See what's happening.
I gotta take
If you control a
screenshot
token,
of it, 'cause
create 2 Ordis 1/1/1 recruit soldiers in my expedition. And it also has a support ability for making the next permanent you play cost 1 less. So this is a strong ability because whenever you play any non-token character, it makes 2 more tokens. So say we're on like 8 mana, you play this, and you play 3 more people. We're generating 6 more tokens for free off of this guy. And then you can also put a charge on top of that. So these are definitely strong for Sigis. I've seen most of them, it's just create 1 recruit after you play a guy, but this one makes 2. So that's even stronger. You don't really care about the stats, you just want something low cost that makes it so whenever you play another guy, make tokens galore. And that support ability
stats aren't even
honestly not bad
either, though.
Yeah, stats are fine.
Yeah,
Why does Ordis get all the good
a
shit?
102.
Well,
The
I've
lead
seen-
game
I've seen
designers
some
of
strong-
the current sets.
They love Ordis.
there's
Like,
good uniques in other houses.
Where? Show me. I demand
I've
proof.
seen some real good Ysmir Spindle Harvester shit for a Faunus that's
Where are my uniques?
bullied me quite a bit.
Where are
you don't have?
Yeah, I don't have any. Right, exactly. Yeah, this game.
I only have one good unique, and I've opened over 30. So
I have a Robin Hood that I think is playable to an extent in my deck, and it's not even that good for my deck. Let's be honest. It is passable. Thinking of switching factions. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
But
never go to the dark side.
Ortis is not the dark side. Ortis is the fun side. I enjoy my Waru very much. Thank you very much.
Do we need to break down the philosophy here now that it's just us three on why Ortis is most certainly the dark side?
Oh, I thought we already came to that conclusion and agreed upon it. I mean, I was in agreement.
Don't understand. Yeah. Okay. Thematically, who is Ortis?
They are bureaucrats. They're Congress, right? They
have a hive mind.
They're the man. That's who they are, right?
Exactly.
Right.
The soldiers, the man, the bureaucrats.
They're the government, bro.
So
yeah.
What is it? AOAB is all I'm saying, and as well. They're overpowered and have too many tools.
Yep. Like these uniques.
Yes, like all their uniques. And you got crushed by some uniques with our Why I Suck at Keyforge or Why I Suck at Altered. Why I Suck at Altered. Brought to you by Lemon Pledge. Lemon Pledge for all your cleaning needs. Not a sponsor, but could be. So how'd you get crushed? That's your cue, Dexter. Come on.
I've been crushed by so many different uniques, but it's mainly this one that we have here, this dumb Ortis one, where whenever you play a guy, you make a token. Or the dumb Ortis ones where it's just a Sandman ability on a little guy, or a charge ability on a little guy. It's just these powerful effects on small characters that have no reason to be there. I've never opened a good unique like that. And I just keep getting beat up by those. And also, like I said, the Spindle Harvesters with Afanis, those are just brutal. I feel like in order to win at this point in Arena, you have to have good uniques, or else you're just going to get annihilated, which is what keeps happening to me. I have one good Quetzalcoatl unique, and I only run Waru at this point. And that I can get some wins, but whenever I run into another deck that's running 3 solid uniques, I have no chance.
Now, how do you think every other faction feels?
Well, they just need to get the uniques. Every faction has viable unique strategies, but you just have to open them or buy them or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I just don't have.
So, I disagree.
You got to spend money to be good.
No, I disagree wholeheartedly on that completely. Because at least I guess I could go with the landmark route of just winning the game if I do a thing. But really, like, there are no good Lyra uniques. I've seen a few that are like, they're okay, but I don't think they're not like this. They're not like game winning. They're not like, oh, I just create map.
You don't have any super busted Lyra ones.
Right.
The best Lyra ones out there are really just like resupply, get card advantage.
Right. Is get card advantage.
I was going to ask, is there even a type of unique that Lyra is seen as seeking out? So Ortis has tons of options for what uniques they want to use. Izmir, it depends. It's going to be recycling spells or recycling jellyfish. Those are going to be your really strong ones. Muna, it's going to be anchor uniques. Anchor uniques. Bravos, maybe boosts. But Lyra, I honestly don't know if I can remember or think of a target that Lyra would specifically have, where I've seen people buy 3 of them for their Lyra deck. So I mean,
I
There's
think right
definitely
now it's
removal uniques that you have access to in Lyra.
yeah. There's a few
but
removal,
not
good
that you
removal
don't
ones.
see in any other factions. I don't think.
I think right now,
Yeah.
like your whole Lyra literally needs to just focus on the landmark and just win. Or I'm sorry, the festival, which is a landmark.
yeah, there's
win the
there's
game.
a lot of festival is kind of, I think, what I see most often. Fen has kind of fallen off.
And
They
fall
dropped
off.
off.
Yeah. I guess because Traced, came out in favor once Waru was vanquished.
And I've been booting Finn with my Waru build recently. Like, I didn't really change anything, but Finn just can't win anymore. Traced is basically, if you get your bastions early, you win. If you don't, you lose. Which is why I don't like playing with Traced, because it's too swingy,
Yeah.
which I don't like.
The only game I won last night was against a Traced that for some reason didn't play Havens and had a weird setup. At the end of the game, they did say that they had terrible draw. I was like, that sucks.
Yeah.
The
The same thing happened to me. I beat a Trace
Yeah.
like that.
They played Brassbug Hive, so I was like, "What are you doing?" And their ability never got to 5. The game ended; they were at 2 counters.
Oof. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not how you want to be playing Traced.
I don't know if
Yeah.
that's necessarily a why I suck at Altered moment, or if that's just like draw better, bro. I guess in a good old AC advantage.
It's both. If
that's
you're building your deck bad, you suck at Altered.
Yeah, just draw better.
Yeah, West Will in the
draw better.
audience mentions +1 to dice roll mechanics for Lyra uniques. Yeah, that would be really good in Navenka.
Yeah.
And Navenka is actually pretty viable for at least a top 16 in like a 64-person tournament. I think that's fair to say these days.
I wonder, we haven't seen any major tournaments in the US really, right?
Depends on what you consider major. I would say the most major was PAX.
Yeah, I would too. But like
Which
something where
they're-
a lot of people are conglomerating together, especially after the whole Robin Hood nerf.
Yeah. Yeah, there was GGAZ, but I think collectively PAX had more people, and it was after Robin Hood. And there was, let me pull up my notes here. There was an Navenka that made it
Thought it was
to
top
top 8.
4? No, top 8? I
Yeah,
remember
which
it.
was
I remember you talking about it. I just don't
actually-
remember where it was.
Yeah, which was actually Zared. I haven't seen Zared in a while. Hope he's maybe he's taking a break after playing for 3 days straight.
It's the holidays, bro, right? Christmas and New Year's are always big times. I think every game takes a dip right around now. Just because it's like holidays, everyone's travel. Merry Christmas, and usually February kicks things off again.
Yep. I'm in the camp of the meta is a lot different the past month than it was back in October, but maybe I'm just crazy.
No, I don't think you're crazy at all. I think, especially after
Seems right.
Robin Hood nerf. I mean, people started playing around with stuff because when you are the meta, everybody that's not playing the meta is trying to beat the meta. And then now that that's not the meta anymore, you got to redefine it and kind of go from there.
I can still win games with my Waru.
Yeah, Waru is still very
Not
good.
meta,
I think we've already talked about this. Like,
It's still good.
I think a lot of people like, oh, Robin Hood and Waru's not the meta, and everybody jumped to another faction right away, or like, oh, this is viable now.
Stuck to my Waru.
Yeah, I think people who are okay with playing Ortis just switch to Siggy, which is fair. But the Waru ability is just too good. It's basically like you can play a Kodama whenever you want. And if you think of it that way, like...
Only for your bureaucrats. You have some non-bureaucrats in there.
Only for bureaucrats.
Right. Let's get into the new Muna ideas.
Yeah, so since we only have 3 on the cast, deck construct might be a little different. So I'll just throw out some ideas I've been working on with Muna. They will probably only work for the next couple weeks because Trial by Frost is probably going to shake everything up.
Yeah,
But I
you got to
think-
run those landmarks for Trial by Frost.
Yeah, I think
I think
there's
those will be strong for Muna.
Yeah, I think there's a strong case to be made for no Hydra Muna. And the basic concept I've been working on is flooding the board with as many plants as you can. If you have really good anchor uniques, this will work perfectly, which we actually saw a Tasia at PAX that had 3 anchor uniques and did really well at PAX. Made top 4 and top 2 a couple times. I am still working on my iteration of it. Kind of funny. The first version I made of it did better than the 6th one is doing. I think I've just been tinkering too much. But it also teaches me a lot. As Doombringer likes to mention in the audience, I did get absolutely wrecked last night. But we were editing the deck on the fly.
What was last night?
I was streaming
You just-
since we didn't.
okay.
Yeah, since we didn't do the cast. So if you want to watch some altered gameplay and also casting of the Ace events on Tuesdays, just Altered Corner on Twitch.
And get us into the top 68 of altered content creators.
Yeah. So I think we'll give it another run, but basically no permanents. You run all of the good plants. If you have anchor uniques, you run those, which I have an Esmeralda. That's pretty good. And then we are kind of toying around with Chiron and Ogun. And it works pretty well. I did put out a way too long video on YouTube. So if you just search Cooking with Cole or Muna Altered Decks or something, you'll probably find it. But it has been fun. I think it's been more interesting than just trying Hydra every time. Because what I noticed when I was running Hydra is people just kept nuking my landmarks and then nuking the Hydra, and it didn't even matter.
Yeah.
So, go over to Cooking with Cole. Subscribe to that channel. Get us into the top 68 of altered content creators.
Yeah, Dexter, have you played against any Tasias a lot that run Hydra?
Yeah. Seems like whenever they play Hydra, I either just double move on that turn, and then after that I have enough tempo where I can win, or I just pop the Hydra immediately. So
yeah, and
that is me running Waru, which has access to Sticky Note.
Yeah,
and Keylon Burst for the tree.
Yep. And see, the thing that my worst matchup statistically is Siggy, which has access to all of that. So
for those of you taking notes at home,
makes sense.
Play Siggy.
Siggy good.
Siggy is very good. That is true. But you can never tempt me to the dirty bastards.
We have cookies.
Yeah, but I have a very specific diet, so I don't think they're the right kind of cookies. They're probably full of.
They always are. They're always the right type of cookies. They're never
probably
not.
Full of cocaine and dollar bills.
Those are the best. Those are the best cookies.
Those are the best cookies.
Don't let your mom listen to this episode, Dexter. All right.
Yeah. That's where I'm at with Muna right now. I will hopefully be cooking up some new stuff in Trial by Frost, but I think between now and then it's just kind of hold steady, maybe plan for the new cards. And we are edging ever closer. We are edging the audience. We have 2 more things to talk about before we actually talk about
phrasing.
Those Trial by Frost mechanics. So,
all right, we do have the marketplace. I have not gotten anything, and you know what? Just go buy stuff. It's gonna be here for a while. Events. You got Ace, AWOL, Kalon, Ace will return on the 7th, so by the time you're listening to this, it's already back, or it's going to be back that night. I think it's going to be back that night. So go listen to the Ace. Oh, God, I'm going to die. Go listen to the Ace. I just had a real big cough. Go support our boy Kalon. Kalon guy. What? You okay?
It was Wookie that's dying. What's happening to Dexter now?
And then all of a sudden Dexter's like, maybe I'm dying too. I don't know. Did I have a stroke? And then AWOL and Ace for us. But let's get into the new stuff coming out in Trial by Frost. I was reading this while you guys were kind of going through your stuff. I find a lot of this very interesting to now find out that, I just might need to move on from Fen because most of this stuff just kills the deck. So, first thing is out. They did release a couple of landmark permanents, which is nothing new, really. Right?
Yeah, so the group of landmarks that are new
is the gear.
The gear is kind of different. So there's landmarks which are going to be your permanents, like your Spindle Muna Bastion or your Baba's Isba. They're the things that go in the lower right of your playmat if you're looking at a playmat. And you'll also notice on the playmats that they've said landmarks this entire time.
Oh, you know what? I didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Pause. We'll be right back. Keep going.
Dexter is also dead, but I'll just continue to talk here for a moment.
Right. Let's see. Oh, yeah, sure does. Get that.
Yeah. So this is a quick side note, but there was also a errata to bring all of the permanents that are in the game now up to current. And some people were kind of upset with the wording change, and they were asking if like new cards were going to be printed and yada yada. This could not be true, but in my mind, it is very obvious that the only reason it was an errata is because if it wasn't displayed that way before, it would have been a spoiler.
So for those of everybody, what was the errata?
Oh man, can I even explain it? I think the best way to explain it is on Haven.
I don't know what happened here.
So see, the problem is I don't really care about it, so it also doesn't bother me. But there was a wording change where all of the permanents now say permanent - landmark or something when they didn't before. It's very minimal. And
I didn't think it was a big thing. I guess I'm kind of confused at the outright. Like I know people were upset because I do pay attention. But I was like, but why is this a big deal? I was very confused as to why that was a bit major thing.
Yeah, I think people were maybe reading too much into it and thinking that it would change how cards target them. But as of now, I don't think that's true. I just remember in my mind, I was like, this isn't really a big deal to me. But to some people it was. So Doombringer says, I think the new wording is landmark permanent - insert thing here. If we look at one of the frozen ones, it might say it.
Yeah, cool. Because the new one,
frozen ones are landmark permanence sites.
Yeah, so you can go look at some of the spoilers. I'm sure we'll be talking about them on the 17th. They're landmark permanent site. Because basically, short and skinny, if you look at it, right, you're going to have like the landmark permanents, which will go into your normal landmark zone. But then you're going to have your expedition permanents, which will go into your lane. Like it goes on the expedition itself.
Yep. And a lot of those are currently called gear.
Right.
I'm sure, this whole expansion is all about traveling into the frozen tundra, basically. They put out a trailer a couple days ago, and it kind of hints that they're like going to look for something frozen in the ice.
They're going to look for Elsa and Anna.
Yeah. So
There
it's
might be an Ice
here,
Queen.
but
there's
it might
definitely
be-
already an Ice Queen.
There is, and I can on the spoiler cast give you some, maybe some secret.
There's
insider
already
stuff.
an Elsa. Her name is Scotty. You can go read this article if you want. That's I don't care what you say. That's Elsa on skis. Like that's
Well,
just,
there is a card called the Snow Queen.
I know.
That's all I'll say. So
Yeah.
but really, I wanted to bring this up because after we kind of take a look at these new mechanics, I wanted to see how you guys think it's going to change the competitive landscape and what kind of new ideas it has spawned for you.
I
definitely think the landmarks that spawn dragons will be interesting to play with, especially the Muna one, which just anchors the dragon. So there'll definitely be some strong permanence with spawning tokens, and just token generation in general will be more commonplace because now more factions have access to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, looking through these, I mean, even more, I like Lyra. I'm going to stick with Lyra. Like, I'm always going to have, like, my pet Lyra deck. It might just end up being Navenka now, which is fine. I love Navenka from the beginning. She's what got me into the game because I was like, you know what? It's a cool mechanic. I really like it. Like,
Let's roll some dice.
I know it's never going to be, like, fully ever, like, super competitive. Weirdly enough, it has become competitive
right now,
right? Like it's strange. I might end up moving more towards Ortis. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
something in my throat.
You put your phone close to your
what?
Again,
I'm sorry, I can't hear. I'm moving through a tunnel. I can't.
So the way that I would break down just the mechanics real quick is you have the gear, which we already kind of talked about.
Yep.
That can be, expanded to all sorts of stuff. But the main things are we now see exhausted in reserve. So if a card is exhausted in your reserve, you can't play it out of your reserve.
And it has no quick effect.
Correct.
Yep.
But there are benefits that we've seen that come from exhausted cards. So that's one thing there. The landmarks, which Dexter already talked about, it's kind of like a set it and forget it, 5/5/5 dragon creator. I think some of them are definitely better than others. The other big thing is there's a lot more movement between the reserve, the expedition, and your hand with things like the sleight of hand card. And then move or do a certain thing when in blank subzone card. So that is like, if I am in nature, then I do this. Or my expedition is nature plus what else it already is. So,
or like if mine is water, then your opponent's is only water or something like that.
Yeah. So the first thing that it sparked in me is exhaust in reserve is huge.
Yes.
Like, you just cannot play it for that phase. And there's no unexhausting yet.
Well, that we've seen.
Yeah. The thing is it kind of goes both ways because it's a negative thing for a lot of decks, but there's also a chance where it can be a very positive thing. So I think there is going to be potential for a deck or two to come out where that's their whole concept is
just exhaust everything and be a pain in the ass.
I feel like exhausting the reserve is gonna be huge. I don't know why. Like just knowing how much we play from reserve, like just track your stuff. Like your reserve
take away the resources.
Your hand, and that's like your, especially for Fen. I play a lot of shit from there. Yeah, I play a lot of stuff from there. If you tap it down and say no, especially like knowing like what's in, like basically that's part of my hand, right? That's part of the cards I plan on playing this turn. Things like the aloe veras where you're like, I'm sorry, not the Ouroboros, the Ink Masters, where like I'm bouncing stuff around so I get more plays out of it. Actually, that card just became better now that I can take it into hand. But hey, long story short, like tapping down, like you're like, hey, what's your best card in your reserve? You don't have the ability to play that this turn. That really
it is
hits
mostly
every
just a
faction.
weaker version of Sabotage, though.
True, but it really hits every faction, right? Like hard.
Yes.
Yep. So one of the really good things about this is Muna has essentially 0 sabotage. The only card it has access to is Axiom Scrambler, which is really hard to justify in Muna. But it is getting access to a card called like Dong Da Shen, which allows, when played from anywhere, to exhaust a target card.
Little pricey. 4 that fit in a Muna deck.
Is the Muna one 4 or is it 3?
I don't know. I know the Ortis one is 4.
Yeah, it might still be 4. But just another option that's close.
Oh, it's a bureaucrat. I love seeing a bureaucrat.
Yeah, it's a bureaucrat deity.
Yeah, the West Will says the rare Muna is 3, which I thought, and then
that's fair.
Yeah, Jack Frost, things like that, and then even expanding upon the whole exhaust thing is there's also exhausted resupply. So
which nullifies Quets, which is a pain.
Does it?
It does. It is a different form of resupply.
Ooh. How did you find that out? Are you guessing?
Because I was playing with my Quets against another deck in the test server, and
but you didn't say any of that, and that was
exhausted
a dream you had.
Well, exhausted resupply exists. Y'all can know this. They exhausted resupply, and I had a Quets, and it did nothing.
Yeah, that is really awesome to know. That's cool that you had that dream. So
there's just going to be a big beep. Can we stop talking about it now? Beep. None of y'all heard that. Dexter. All right.
So gear.
I'm lost now. Okay, gear. That's where we were.
Yeah,
I totally got lost on all of that, and I'm just like Dexter. Shut up.
I think we're all on the same page with the exhausted resupply and exhausted cards being huge.
Yes. I do like that it seems like the art, at least from what we've seen thus far. So the art seems to be just very icy, right? Like, and it seems like everybody's going in that same direction, except for Lyra. Somehow it's gotten more extravagant and out there. I point you to winter outfits from Storefit. No bad weather, just bad clothes. Actually, I like this card. I don't know if it's going to find a home in anything, but I do like it.
Yeah, so the fact that it's only 1 mana and how gear works is, as you said earlier, you just pop it into the expedition. It does not leave until the expedition actually gets to move forward.
Right.
So for 1 mana, Winter Outfits is really good. And I don't know. I like the idea of card options where if I don't have many good characters to play, I can just throw it out and forget about it until it comes into play. The Icebound permanence is kind of like that with some of them. Winter Outfits kind of the same. Now, obviously, that doesn't speak to justifying putting it in a deck, but I like the idea of it from that standpoint in my mind.
Yeah. So it seems like, this set's going to be a lot of where we now play. Oh man, I don't know. Like, do you feel like this is going to slow the game down a bit? Or do you feel like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's going to be someone who gets a control build Don't know who it is yet.
Oh, don't say those
Someone's
words.
getting a control. I hate to tell you. And I hate to tell you, I have a feeling I know who it is. It starts with or and ends in dis. Like, I just get the feel like none of their heroes really fit that mold. Right?
Yeah.
But I feel that I don't know why I feel it in my bones. But if I had to guess who is getting the control build, I don't know why I feel like that's who it would be.
Yeah, I would say that if you just look at it from a high level standpoint, adding any more interaction across the board into the game just in some way is possibly strengthening control decks like your very annoying Akesha or Afanis if they go that route, or even Lindaway. So, I mean, it's possible, but I think there are also things that are speeding up the game. So maybe it, equals out in the end.
I mean, we'll see. I feel like I see all this just exhaust cards in reserve and knowing that, okay, so now that card can't be played and has no support abilities, so I can't like churn through any of them. Oh, yeah, by the way, also for Lyra, most of our mana comes from our reserve on quick abilities.
What?
Most of the mana for Lyra, because we have the ability to, a lot of our things have a quick ability, your next thing costs
Your next
one less.
Cost less.
Yeah, that's now possibly
those.
gone. I can't use those. So that whole ramping thing that we once had, probably not a thing anymore.
Yeah,
especially with a lot of this.
Lyra definitely has a lot of interaction with going between reserve and the
going between reserve, hand,
and back. Yeah.
And over here, there's a zone that you don't even know about that exists in Lyra, but I'm making that up. But
Yeah, one of the things that I called out though is there are more cards that interact in that way, and Lyra does have access to one of the ones that we've seen. So maybe
man,
that
did y'all
helps as well.
Any of y'all ever play Legend of the Five Rings, the old card game?
No,
not the one made by FFG, the one made by. Oh man, who made that? I don't even remember who made that. I feel like Lyra's the Dragon Clan. Somebody will chime in and be like, I used to play that back in the day. You're awesome. The Dragon Clan was this, they were always like jack of all trades, master of none. Like they did everything okay. So therefore they were okay, but they didn't do like any one thing great.
Lyra has some sleep, some anchored, some reserve stuff.
Yeah, like they got a little bit of everything, stuff. Right? Like we could.
You can't make tokens.
No, but like we could do a little bit of everything, right? Like we could do some sleep, we could do some anchored, we could do some of this, we could do some of that, we could blow some things up, we could do some of but like we don't have like a full man, you know what? They really are the hippies. Right? Like they don't do anything great, but they're kind of cool, right? Like they have no real goal or like structure or like way they're headed, but like they're kind of cool.
I mean, they are the artists. They all just got an art degree and then have no idea what to do.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing after college, right? Like,
yeah,
they might take a year off, travel Europe. Who knows?
So I don't think it's uploaded in the database yet, but Sleight of Hand is one of the cards I was talking about, where it allows you to interact back again with your reserve. So that is a thing we're going to see more of. But something you mentioned about the winter outfits, and I've seen a lot of discussion about the art on this card. I would just say, take a look at the card.
Yeah.
Take a look at what it looks like, and just imagine real life and
I've
maybe
already
you'll-
been there. I was told I had to sign a document supplied to me by Mr. Kohlrabi himself that said Wookiee will not say lewd or bad things on the show.
Well, I mean, I did not say anything about lewd, but it looks
It's a fleshlight.
that is not where I was going.
Oh, sorry. That's totally where I went. Where were you headed? Hold on.
Okay, I'll spell it out here.
Okay.
It looks like an advertisement, right?
Yes.
And store fit sounds like a store, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Because that to me is exactly why that art is that way, and it's not. To me, it's not weird because it has a point.
You'll have to explain it to me later.
We just don't. Well, I mean, I don't 100% know. I just know that there is a point, and we will see it eventually.
Are you talking like there's a point like in world?
Yeah,
Oh,
like a
okay.
store exists called Store Fit where this winter outfit is purchased.
Oh, okay.
We just haven't seen it yet.
I totally went real world and it was like, why would you put this on a card? Especially with the little white stuff at the bottom. Just saying. Yeah. I don't know if that was planned or if how this made it past the art director. But I am open and available for contracting. As long as you put us like in the top 68 for
That's our goal for 2025.
Goal for 2025, get into the top 68 of content creators for Alter.
Doombringer in the audience brought up a good point about maybe in Trial by Frost we'll see less Fen, but we'll see maybe more Arok and Navenka.
You will not see
Arak.
You will not see Arak. Not happening.
You will. I will say the whole point of this set is to provide support for heroes who did not have it before, and that is something that Justin has publicly said. So,
all right.
That is also why certain heroes
for Goalring.
Yep.
No,
there will be support for Goalring.
Fuck your orders bullshit. This is dumb.
For
like I'm so tired of blue. Right? Like
more blue.
Yeah, like you're that weird counterspell control player at the table that nobody likes. Like, just go home.
What is? They have a list of the heroes that you can get in Trial by Frost booster packs, and I'll read this list, and this will give you a hint towards who might be getting more support. Some of these are still included just because they're good for draft or, they're just coming back. But some of them are specifically in this set because they have more support. So of the 12 returning heroes, there is Sierra, Subash, Kojo, Basira, Arok, Fen, Arjun, Rin, Sigismar, Gulring, Akesha, and Afanis. I don't know why Lindaway isn't one of them.
Why is Waru not here?
Waru doesn't need any more.
The whole thing to you, Dexter.
They literally had to.
I know.
He was so good. They had to nerf him. Why? Why would he be in here? Nobody knows.
But why is Afanis here, not Lindy?
Well, that's why I gave the disclaimer.
Yeah. Weird that Fen is here.
Siggy is just really good for draft, and of course they want to make draft still fun. But reading the list did make me wonder why Lindaway isn't there, and maybe
bad Bravos here either. The 5 cost or more one. They put the 2 better Bravos one.
That's what's up. Okay, so they're gonna start putting. We should cover these news articles more often, being a kind of a news show. Weird. No, it so I always wondered, I was like, man, when are they gonna do something with the adventure cards? Like, obviously we're going into like a new adventure there's gonna be a new but they're new, but they're all the same, right? Like the art's changing. Because I always thought, like, man, are they ever gonna change like the adventure path, right? Like shake it up a little bit,
it's
or
possible.
Like do something with that. Like, or have it so that like you can have like a little like one of the heroes is able, and this is all like pie in the sky stuff, right? Like this is just me spitballing because I don't sleep at night, so I come up with stupid stuff like this. So like, you know, like all of a sudden they're like, oh, you know, take an adventure card from wherever, you know, from out of the game and replace this adventure card with this adventure card, and that's now the adventure. Right, so like it would change it from like, oh man, now
battlefield or something.
It was water, but now it's. I know there's a card that's already doing it. Please don't tell me that. I'm well aware that. What is that card called? Is it a Muna card? I think it might be a Muna card.
Kraken.
Here it is. Persephone. Persephone?
Yeah, Persephone.
Persephone, whatever.
Yeah. You don't know Persephone?
You didn't know it either, so pipe down.
Yes,
over there.
I do. I know
right, it just says my region is forest in addition to its other types. Oh, okay, that's not replacing it. So, yeah, but kind of it's adding it.
The rare does replace it for your opponent, though.
Okay,
but I think it would be really cool in the future if there was just a card that was like landslide or something, and it's like flip to tumult cards like with each other. That'd be
something like
cool
that,
and
right?
Very wild. Yeah.
Yeah, like something wild or something. Just kind of throw that in there. I don't know. They do also give us a slot compare or what's going to happen in your slots, which I fully I enjoy.
Where are you seeing that?
It's in the newest article that was just released not too long ago. So slot 1 will be your hero. Slot 2 through 9 will be your common. 10 and 11 will be your rare. Slot 12 will be unique. 13 will be token, adventure, mana coverage, foil or common, rare, all that fun stuff. So
this is the newest?
That's going to be the slots. Well, yeah, it's the newest one.
I don't.
Came out on January yesterday. Came out yesterday.
I see.
It even gave you things like your official release date and your pre-release date. So, I got a question for you, since I'm not really into the heavy, and I'm a noob over here, right? Still. Does Altered have? So it's got a pre-release date, and then it's got a street legal date. Does it have a tournament legal date, or is it as soon as cards are out, you are able to bust them into your decks and start playing in major events with them?
Yeah. So
pretty sure release date is the same.
Yeah, technically there is not a official tournament season yet. That's supposed to start this year. And I think it'll start near the end of this set and right before set 3 maybe. I know that they are specifically working to the best of their ability to make it so it's not like a set changes in the middle of, some really important events.
Right. Yep.
Because I talked with Justin about that, and that was definitely something they're watching out for. But I think the real answer to that question is when the cards go live on BGA, because right now all of the tournaments and all of the most popular tournaments, I would say, are run through BGA.
Yes.
I would guess the 31st is, everything is released and it's trial by frost season. And then tournaments that, are running their own tournament are going to be whatever rules they decide and however they want to do it.
I do dig the fact, and this is one of the things that I was like, oh, that's cool, and I didn't say anything about it, that they're going to be releasing so the big part for me being still kind of new to this, like stuff, like getting your hands on Altered, it's a little tough for me. Maybe not in your area, but like for my area, like it's magic or nothing, right? Like you got some magic, you got some Pokemon for like the littles. Maybe you find even Yu-Gi-Oh is like not really like easy to find. Lorcana's not easy to find. Like if it ain't magic, it ain't nothing to a lot of the game stores by me. So even though I opened a bunch of product, I didn't have a starter deck at this. I bought a starter deck. I don't know where it went, but I had a starter deck and I don't know where it went. So I didn't have the adventure cards. So now that they're putting them in the boosters, I like that. I like that you're able to get into a booster and actually get those, open a box. You more than likely, I'm sure, have the adventure track. So I thought that was kind of a big upside, at least for me, because getting stuff for me is tough.
Yeah, sure. It's definitely cool for people getting into the second set if they're like new and don't have access to starter kits. They just get those adventure tracks too.
Yeah, I had to have you bring one up to me. For crying out loud. I'm like, hey, can you give me a starter? I don't have any adventure tracks. So, I mean...
Yeah, the article kind of specifically points out a little note on that as well. It says the Beyond the Gates starter decks will basically take you through until set 4. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's another good reason that they're including them in boosters, because there won't be new starter decks.
Okay. So they're not planning on releasing new starter decks till set 4, huh?
Yeah, that's what that article says.
Crazy.
So, and Dorvian in the audience also made a good point about changing Tumult cards would require a lot lot of balancing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I'm not saying do this tomorrow. Like, I'm just saying it'd be kind of cool. Like, this would be a cool, here's the thing about Wookiee ideas, and I know a lot of you don't know me from Jack. I think they're great. And in theory, when you think about them, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. That'd be an interesting thing. But when you put them to the test, they're terrible ideas.
Like Alliance Wookiee.
Oh my god. Yeah, I created a format in Keyforge, and it's some people love it. You got to give it that. Some people they love it. Not many. But I like to spice things up a little bit every now and again. You know what I mean?
I see people mention Alliance a good amount in the Archons server. So that is and
their hatred for it.
That is a testament to your abilities. But it brought up a good thought in my mind, or I guess a good comment. With talking a lot, and I watch basically any interview I can get my hands on. I watched the Trickster interview with Justin, and I watched it wasn't Trickster, was it? Or was it that just interviewed the lead game designer for Trial by Frost? I think his name is Charles. I'm gonna be sorry.
Charles in charge?
But their point.
Oh, that went over your head too?
Yeah, that one did go over.
You've never heard of Charles in charge of our days and our... No. Dexter, I don't expect to get it, but...
No, I do not know.
Somebody in the chat will be like, I remember that show. You're awesome.
But their whole point of the first couple sets was to slowly get everyone into and build up their, knowledge of the mechanics for Altered. And because of that, they actually moved some of the cards that were intended for set 1 into Trial by Frost or further, so that they weren't throwing too many mechanics out at the same time.
I do like that. Because I will say games that I hate to keep going back to Keyforge, but that's where we are. That's the game I play the most. Keyforge, every set has a new mechanic, right? And for a while, Magic kind of did the same thing. It felt like it was a new mechanic all the time. I don't know. Keep a mechanic and focus on that mechanic for a good 2-3 sets, right? Then introduce some new stuff, right? I like the gear. I dig it. I don't know if it necessarily needed to be in set 2. Maybe set 2 could have been a little more focused on, boosting up some of those heroes that weren't seeing play and balancing the meta a little bit.
Yep.
Which is tough to do because with how games are designed, you're normally a year out, right? So this set was probably designed about this time last year, if not further out than that. It was probably 2 years ago at this point. So it's tough, game designers and all their passion, they try to make something that is fair and balanced, and then we players come along and we just break that shit. right? Like that's just what we do. We're like, oh, this is busted, and then like just find a way to just take advantage of it as much as we can.
I think they did do a really good job balancing the first set. Ordis is strong, but other than that, everything is pretty balanced, and there are many viable heroes.
Yeah, so if we just ban all of Ordis, right, we'll have a good meta.
Yeah, I will not.
How crazy would that be? Like tomorrow, they're just like, yeah, all of Ordis is banned. Just like,
I will not say where it was mentioned or what it was mentioned about, but there was already a comment along the lines of, "Oh yeah, there's gonna be a change or two or a ban of a card in Trial by Frost, no doubt." So,
oh really? Wow.
Yeah, it's just like you're saying though. Like this set has been, for the most part, set for since before set 1 officially released in September.
I always like games that kind of they build, but it's that slow turn, right? Like kind of like, hey, here's set 1, and then set 2 is like, all right, we know we fucked up, so here's what we're doing to fix it, right? Or it's normally set 3 that fixes the fuck ups, but here's set 2, which kind of expands upon those. Maybe it's like, okay, maybe we didn't give enough love to this character or that character, which you should be able to see, right? You're like, oh man, we didn't give enough love to Arak, like they didn't. We'll throw some cards in there to like spice that up and more focus on those characters, And then set 3 is your forgiveness set, right? Like, oh man, we really screwed the pooch on these things. So let's fix all that. But that typically creates more problems. So then you have another set, right? And that does some things. And then like set 5 is like the next apology tour. Where they're like, all right, we're going to fix all this stuff. And then that normally creates more problems. So in set 7, keeps going like that, right? We go on these hills and valleys tour where it kind of just, I don't know. I kind of dig that. But just throwing too much at your fan base too quick, I feel like that's always a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that's one of the reasons that I latched on to Altered so well. Is I think I started at a really good time. Before the game was even released, I started learning it. But also, it was so easy to pick up. But at the same time, it's not like an easy game.
Yeah,
no,
it's easy to learn, but like impossible to play perfectly, which is great.
Yeah, I think I really appreciate the fact that it is, for now, simple, and they're trying to keep that in mind when they release new sets and build slowly. I really appreciate that. And then that is one of their goals, I know for sure from talking to them and watching these interviews. And the other thing, I'm pretty sure Charles talks about it in here, is a lot of the mechanics for Trial by Frost are thematic. Like they wanted to release cards and mechanics that make you feel like you are trudging through an icy, like hard, expedition.
That's why the game. Yeah, you're right. Like that's why the game's kind of seems like it's slowing down. That makes sense thematically. Sure. That's not my style. I mean, there are plenty of people who love thematics in games, and I know you got to keep that in there. Because people like the lore, people like the theme, people like the immersion. It's not for me, but that's not saying it's not for everyone, right? So, I mean, people like art. I don't realize half these cards have art until I'm like, hey, look at that art.
I'm now mad that one of these art choices is that the common has skis and then the rare has snowboarding, because I think that skiing is superior, but I digress.
You'd
Skiing
be wrong.
Is a lot easier than snowboarding, so it makes sense.
Sure.
I mean, we can have this conversation.
We can do this. We can have the skiing.
It's a lot harder to. It's a lot harder to learn how to snowboard, but it's a lot easier to master how to snowboard as well. Like once you have down the basics for snowboarding, which are very difficult to learn, you can snowboard well.
You guys skiing have no idea how weird of a conversation this
initial
is.
Learning curve, but it's harder to master skiing. That's what I'm gonna say.
I just want to, for all the audience at home, Yeah, we go off on tangents. But the
That's why I
But the-
skeeted this out the other day. We might not be
phrasing.
the most polished altered podcast, but we are most certainly the most
fun.
humorous and
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, but the most funny part about this is I live in Wisconsin. I have never skied nor snowboarded. Both these boys live in Texas. Does snow
I grew
exist
up in
by
Utah.
you? Oh, okay. I was like, does snow even exist by you guys? How do you ski and
Nope.
or snowboard?
I gotta go to Colorado.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so Utah is basically the best snow on earth. That's like their literal motto. I will say I could never afford to go skiing or snowboarding frequently, but I have done.
Oh
I
my
have
God.
done both.
Oh my God. Please tell me these little snow demons are part of the game.
We have not seen them yet.
They need their own
In-
Why do I cling on to the weird things in the background? There's also a card in there's also a card in Keyforge that I'm like, why did so it's a fish dude, right? But he looks like a dog squeak toy. And I'm like, why does he not have his own card? And I feel like I now need these little snow demon
The
dudes.
background characters.
These snow demon cows, they need their own card. Snow
You
Bravo's
should-
snow demon token. Yes.
You should do that a lot more often is all that I will say, Wookie. And I'm gonna post a card in here that I don't think anyone has figured out. I've never seen anyone talk about it,
Oh.
but I'll post that. We can let you look at it and we can come back to it later. But one of the things about the mechanics and the competitive changes in 2025 I wanted to ask you guys is your prediction for what one hero will take the top spot during Trial by Frost.
Ooh,
Or
so
we'll just say top 3, maybe even. Like they're gonna hit high levels in Trial by Frost.
all right. So this is all the heroes then, not just the ones that are in Trials by Frost.
Yep, out of all of them, because this is competitively. Who do you think is the hero?
Man,
that
now I
when
want to
Trial
say
by Frost
with what you
launches-
said earlier, like now I want to be like, well, it's going to be a rock,
Let me look real quick.
right? Like because you made such a fuss about it. I'm like, it's got to be that one, right?
I think it's gonna be Siggy. I honestly think it's gonna be Siggy.
So yeah, Ordis is the cop out cheap bastard take, but we'll put Dexter down for Siggy.
I think Akisha will also be very good from some of the control style cards.
Dexter just
I think
basically
Keisha can
said, I think that there are going to be seasons in a year. So what is your guess, Wookie?
I gave my one already. I said Arak. Like I feel like with what you said earlier, that was like a little teaser.
I said that they're
right?
getting.
just a
I
little
said
taste.
they're getting more support. I didn't say they were gonna get really strong.
Yeah, but you were like, yeah, they're gonna get more support, and then you're like, nope, they're gonna get more. Like you were really adamant on it. I don't know. Maybe I read too much into that. Maybe I read too much into that.
I think you did.
I'll put Arak for Wookie, and anyone that's listening, you can keep track of this and bring it back up.
And then you can then tell me why I'm wrong later, and it's cool. Like I'm all for it.
Yep. I wrote Kojo. Kojo is my guess.
That was my next one. I was like, I feel like Kojo's due because he's already pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just missing a piece or two.
Yep.
And
I think Kojo. Yep.
I also agree with Dexter's aversion to Akesha. Like she already feels super control.
We get more control.
Right. She already feels super like more wants to play that more control role. And I feel like that is a big focus in this set. More like control-y tempo based type thing, because the whole game's about tempo, but like more of that, like I do bad things to you, right? And that's what gives me the upper hand, not like just like brute strength. Here's 72 Ordis 111 tokens, right? Like just be like, oh, what 111 tokens? Like I never saw those. Weird. Where'd they go?
Yeah. Does Ysmir get Geyser? I did not check who all got Geyser. Or Blizzard. Geyser or Blizzard, I guess.
Oh man.
But
Endervein says Subash. Really?
I think Subash is
Is good.
close to good enough now that it's definitely possible. And of course,
man.
Doombringer said Sierra. I think Sierra is also a good guess because Sierra is one we know for a fact is getting more support.
Gonna get more support.
Trial by
for
Frost. And if anyone's going to bring Sierra to the top 3 more than once, it's going to be Doombringer and Zared. So,
Interesting.
I could see a Faunus and a Kesha as well, but I already think that a Faunus is probably top 3 right now. So
Yes, I would definitely say it's top 3 right now. If you get those spindle uniques, it is so strong.
I do like hearing this because my two favorite factions coming into Altered were Lyra and Pink and Purple. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. It's getting late.
Ysmir.
Ysmir,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm drawing a blank. I like both of those factions.
Ysmir's definitely gonna get good.
Kesha was like my first love, right? That was what kind of drew me in. And then Nevenka kept me here. I was like,
I think Ysmir's really the only faction with 3 heroes that can all be strong if you have the right support and uniques and stuff.
Yep. But I think the snow outfit specifically already is very good for Nevenka.
I love that. Endervein's like, I'm not biased in any way towards Subash, trust me. Says the person with the Subash emblem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't like Wookiees. Not biased.
Sadi is definitely getting more support, but I don't know if that will bring Sadi into top 3. And when I say top 3, I mean like consistently when you look at the top 3 of tournaments day to day, you see basically that hero almost every time. And so, that's why my guess is Kojo. I can look real quick. 39cards.com. I'll just pull the last 3 tournaments. And I will say the only one that is in the top 3 every single time is Siggy. So that's it.
Yep.
That's a good perspective to put it. I wrote down our guesses. You guys can hold us to them. Wookie, did you look at that card I posted in the chat?
I did. So I don't know what exactly you said. I'm looking for something.
You said you like to look at the close-up details.
I do. The only thing I noticed that's out of the norm is the teddy bear.
You're onto something, but
there's a teddy bear there.
That is all I had planned for.
I never noticed that.
Hold on. I've just made it bigger on here. Okay, and let me take a look here. There's a teddy bear.
That teddy bear is something.
Teddy bear is.
Doesn't
something.
one of the heroes have a little teddy bear looking thing as their pet?
Something, but I don't see anything else.
Maybe I'm thinking.
I'll get back to you next week.
Fox.
Let me dig into this a little bit. Because I typically pick like the weird stuff, like snow demons. Don't know if they're gonna exist at all at any level, but I already love them. And I need to know what cards they're on so that I can own most of them.
Yeah, that would be dope if we saw those. I would.
And they're like my favorite other thing. My other favorite thing is you guys know the cows with hair? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. I know what you're talking about.
In real life?
Yeah.
The cows with hair.
It's a specific breed of cow. They have hair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like aren't they yaks?
Hold on. Weirdly enough, I have them.
Highland cow?
Yes, Highlander cows is what they're called. They're a specific breed of cow. They have hair. They're fantastic. I don't know why I love them. These little snow demons also they remind me a lot of them because they kind of look like cows, and they have hair. So
Yep.
Yeah.
love it already.
Yeti has been teased, so I mean, maybe they're mini Yetis.
That's my other favorite. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up here, but I gotta tell this story because it actually came up. It actually came up. Oh, see, now you ruined it.
I spoiled it if you didn't want to look at it.
I know, and I looked. I was like, "Oh, what's this?" You can't leave me buttons to click. I'll click them every time.
That is a good note. Anyways, your story.
My story. So, Yeti has been teased, right? And what's funny is a few years ago, and this has nothing to do with Altered, but it's a funny story. A few years ago, my wife got me a Valentine's Day gift, and back then, if you remember, Jack Links, they still use the Yeti to this day as kind of like their mascot. Not the Yeti, but the Sasquatch. Same thing, just one's white.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife, man, grinning ear from ear, like we exchange our Valentine's Day things, and I got this. It's this heart-shaped box with little fluff around the edges, right? It's little Yeti fur. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I love beef jerky. And I do. I love beef jerky. And she's like, yeah, did you see who's on it? And I was like, yeah, I see who's on it. She's like, isn't that great? And I'm like, what do you... Yeah, they've always used him as their mascot. Really? They've always used him as their mascot? Yeah. It's just, I didn't know Star Wars was on beef jerky. And I look at her and I go, what? And she's like, I didn't know Star Wars. Like, I didn't know that they did anything with beef jerky. And I'm like, oh, honey. I'm like, do you think this is a Wookiee? And she's like, yeah.
It looks kind of like a Wookiee.
It kind of does. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, honey, this is...
If I was not a Star Wars fan, that looks like a Wookiee.
So I had to explain to my wife, I'm like, oh, honey, this is Sasquatch. This isn't Chewbacca. But I give her mad props for trying, right? Like, mad props. Like, she saw it. She's like, oh, not a huge Star Wars fan, right? She still thinks Jar Jar Binks is cute.
That's great.
But like, yeah, it was fantastic, and it was
after I watched that movie, I legitimately acted like Jar Jar Binks for like a good few months. My family hated me.
Somehow I'm not surprised because somehow I'm not surprised. Anyways,
thanks, Wookie.
That's gonna do it for us this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. We're back. For those of you thinking we went away, we didn't. We just took a little Christmas holiday break, right? It wasn't even sabbatical. So I usually take this break from either show we do every year. It just kind of refreshes the batteries, gets you back in. Thank you guys for joining us back again. Don't forget, go follow us on Blue Sky. The website is up, alteredcorner.com. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Last time I just said altered.com. So now I got to watch myself. Go follow us over on the Patreon. I do believe we still have boxes at a pretty good rate over there, if I am not mistaken.
True. Facts.
Okay. And then I don't know, is Z doing anything for pre-orders for TBF?
Based on the conversation we had in the Discord earlier, I think he is really hesitant to do so, but we will bully him into doing at least a small amount.
Fair enough. Make sure you guys join Ace and AWOL Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Yep. We got all sorts of tournaments going on, and if, as mentioned, you go to alteredcorner.com, you'll be able to see all the schedule information and links that you possibly could want.
Support our guys over at 39cards.com with their Patreon. Go support Keelan Guy with his tournaments. All sorts of stuff going on. 2025 is going to be a great year. It's going to be a good year for Altered. I think we're going to go over some stuff once we get some more news. And we'll see y'all next week.
Take my hand through the flame. I torture you. I'm a slave to your games. I wanna chain you up. I wanna tie you down. I'm just a sucker for pain.
What can I say? I'm just a sucker for pain. They looking at me like I'm fucking insane.